Hi, Brad Gilley with Texas Motor Speedway's Total Access here with Larry McReynolds. You see him on NASCAR on Fox and TNT and about every other network that carries NASCAR. It seems. Daytona 500, multi-time Daytona 500 winning crew chief, by the way. And, obviously want to talk to you about why you're here at Texas today because your son's going to be running the ARCA race. But we got to start out with the news of the day. Carl Edwards, big wreck with Brad Keselowski. They made the announcement that no penalty, no fine, no suspension. Just a 3-race probation. What are your thoughts?
Well, first of all, I've never really figured out what probation actually means. But, NASCAR was in a box on this one. You can't – and I'm proud of what they've done. I'm proud that basically they've done nothing because I don't think you can make an announcement in mid-January headed into the season that says basically the gloves are off, we're going back to our roots, have at it, boys, and have fun while you're doing it. I don't think you can make that kind of announcement or statement in January and then in early March, 4 races into the season, penalize someone because basically that's what they did. They had at it. We've had retaliation for years. I reminded Darrell Waltrip yesterday of some retaliation he did against my driver in 1992, Davey Allison. Almost the same situation, but a lot more severe. Darrell was a little bit ill at Davey at Pocono. We'd been leading the race a lot that year, and Darrell just got in his left rear on purpose. He said it was, and I don't think he intended the consequences being Davey barrel rolled down the back straightaway 11 times and actually had to have some surgery. So retaliation has been going on for years. Did Carl Edwards intend on going out there and making sure Brad Keselowski had as bad a day as he had on lap 39? Absolutely. Did he have intentions of flipping that car over? Absolutely not. NASCAR has always done a good job of not getting involved of what people's intentions are. You can't. You can't. You don't know what's in someone's mind. But I think Carl admittedly said, I went out there with intentions. And I'm sure when he drove out on pit road 160 laps down and looked at the scoreboard and Brad was running 5th, that probably just added insult to injury to the whole deal. But I'm glad that NASCAR made the call that they did. I've got to believe that they're going to have some conversation with the drivers and say, look, guys, we said the gloves are off. That wasn't exactly what we had in mind. I've never been a big fan or component of drivers retaliating with race cars. Brad Keselowski suffered from a standpoint. He took a top 5 day and ruined his day. But who really pays the price for what happened is Roger Penske with losing a race car and the guys at Penske Racing that's going to have to build a new car to replace that car. Brad Keselowski lost purse money and points, but Brad got on his airplane and flew home after it's all over with. So I've never been a big fan of using race cars for retaliation.
All right, one of the big things that NASCAR said when Mike Helton addressed the media on Tuesday was that their biggest concern is the cars getting airborne right now. Is this something that may go away when we put the spoiler on the car and lower the rear quarter panels and whatnot, or is there still reason to have big concern?
Well, I think there's still reason to have some concern. I had a conversation with Robin Pemberton, Vice President of Competition with NASCAR yesterday, and he reminded me that we've had cars fly before with the rear spoiler. Just taking the wing off and putting the rear spoiler on is not a guarantee that absolutely we'll have no cars fly anymore. But I do know that NASCAR, ever since the Ryan Newman wreck at Talladega back in the fall, they have been working diligently on things in the tunnel with the wing, and I'm sure now with the rear spoiler, to try to increase the liftoff speed of these race cars. I know one thing they did with the car headed to Daytona was they put that deck fin, the continuation of the shark fin down the left side of the deck lid. That increased the liftoff speed by almost 10 miles an hour. I got to believe that they're going to maybe look at that same piece on the car now with the rear spoiler. No, absolutely not. I think maybe the roof flaps and things will be more effective with the conventional rear spoiler, but it's not a guaranteed bulletproof way that says now the cars will be on the ground and will not fly.
All right, now speaking of the spoiler, put yourself back in the crew chief's seat. I mean, is this a big curveball for the crew chiefs out there, putting the spoiler back on? And what would you be doing right now if you were in that situation knowing that the car was going to change?
Well, if I was in that situation, even with an off week, wanting to give my guys a break, I would be probably anywhere in the southeast that I was allowed to go test, I would be testing, whether it's Texas World Speedway, Rockingham, Walt Disney World Speedway, I would be testing. But one of the reasons, Brad, that NASCAR didn't just throw the rear spoiler, sounds like a simple change. Take the wing off, put the spoiler on, and let's go racing. They want to make sure that they do all the right things, working in the wind tunnel, working with the teams, to keep the balance the same on the race car, or as close to possible as what we have now with the wing, not just completely change the way these cars drive. And they're doing things like putting quarter panels extensions behind the rear tire zone to try to do that. I still believe the cream's still going to rise to the top. You know, Hendrick Motorsports, Joe Gibbs Racing, Roush Fenway, Richard Childress Racing, they're still going to be the guys at the front. And the guys that run mid-pack, they're still going to run mid-pack. This is not going to take a team that's 35th in points and all of a sudden make them a chase contender and take the 48 car and put them mid-pack or in the back of the pack. The cream's still going to rise to the top.
All right, and let's talk about why you're here at Texas today, because we've got a big ARCA race coming up, the Rattlesnake 150, during our Samsung Mobile 500 race weekend. And your son, Brandon McReynolds, the last time I saw him race was 2003, driving a Bandolero car in Orlando. And you've raised a young man now.
Well, I have, you know, and very proud of what he's accomplished, as much off the racetrack as on the racetrack. He's had a really great racing career so far. He's run the UARA Late Model Series the last 2 years, has won his share of races. And we reached the fork in the road, like we've done several times, headed into 2010. Where do we need to go? What do we need to do now? Eddie Sharp Racing, that won the championship last year, has been gracious enough to let him test at Daytona, at Texas, probably coming up at Talladega. But we have to get something on the quarter panels even before we can come back here and race. And I think we have a good package to offer a company for their product or their services. You get Brandon, you get his race car, and you get Larry Mack maybe to be a spokesperson. We just got to get something on the quarter panels even to come back here.
All right, there he is, Larry McReynolds. You can see him on NASCAR, on Fox, on TNT, on Speed, and everywhere else. Thanks, Larry.
Thank you.